All right, here we go. Brand new Flyers Daily for the 19th of July, 2024. Flyers Daily, as always, presented by Ticketmaster. Make more memories live. Well, let it be known. Here's the first thing I want to say. Here's where I want to start. We're going to get to Carson Bjarnason in a couple of minutes, some emails about expectations. But let me just first say this, because I just got back. It's like 10 o'clock on Thursday night at recording. I just got back a little while ago from a real long walk. I go on these walking kicks to get my steps in the summer. I walked about 8 miles tonight, like a hike. And the sun's going down a little earlier. And finally the weather broke a little bit. It was a little cooler, especially as the sun was going down. And where I was walking at Westchester Ruston High School, they cut the grass today for the cross-country track, which is a sign that they're coming back to start fall athletics. And I just got this little nip of fall. Not cold or anything like that. It wasn't a temperature thing. But I just got this mindset of fall. And it got me so excited for the upcoming hockey season. I'm done with summer. Still got a little ways to go. I know people love summer and they want to relax. I get it. I still want to relax too. I'm going to get back down the shore coming up in August. But I am starting to really chomp at the bit to get the game back on the ice. I said this the other day. It was 91 and 87. 91 days on Wednesday since the Flyers season ended and 87 days until it starts. That's now, I guess, 95 days or 94 days since it ended, and 84 days until it starts against the Canucks, coming up on October 11th. So it's getting closer, and I'm getting to a point now of like a boiling pot boiling over the edge. Like I'm starting to get really excited. The month of August is tough. It's going to be a really slow month for news around the league and build up and all that. But it is the calm before the storm, and I cannot wait. To answer some of the questions that need to be answered. Roster questions, player questions, development questions. Just there's so many, and I just can't wait to start getting answers. I'm still developing my expectations. I'm developing the list of the top question marks going into the season, and so much more. And we're gonna get to 2 emails. I got a bunch of DMs and emails about setting expectations for next season and going through that process of analysis and projection and all of those to set the right expectation. So I got 2 emails I want to get to, 2 DMs I want to get to in this episode. We're going to have some more coming up because I got a lot of really good ones. But I have an absolute stunner, a great email that I got via DM for this episode. And we're going to get to Carson Bjarnason because you guys know this. Like, I love talking goaltending. And when Carson got drafted by the Flyers, and he and I first met, he and I hit it off right away. The goaltending thing always helps in those conversations. And I talk to the goaltenders more than I talk to any other players outside of interviews, and we have conversations and stuff like that. And he and I have just gotten off to a really good relationship of talking about the position and more. And I think you'll see that. And I love these conversations because I think you're going to learn so much about Carson Bjarnason, the young man. We talked to him last year at development camp, and he was like, boof, stunned, like drafted by the Flyers, and everything was so new and bright-eyed to him. Now he's had a chance to kind of pull that down a little bit, and boy, did he put in the work on and off the ice in the last offseason. So you're going to see that in a couple of minutes. But let's get to these 2 DMs first and foremost. The one I want to start with is this one, and it's regarding expectations. But I got this email from a guy on Twitter, Wesley Hooge, I guess is how you say it. Thanks for the note, Wesley. He said, "Hi, Jason. Just curious on your take. When do you think the other markets will start talking about Matvei Michkov?" He says, "There seems to be zero buzz about Michkov outside Philly." He said, I live in Vancouver and listen to sports radio when I can, and other than a quick mention that he signed or will play this coming season, there's been nothing. He said, "We have a special player coming, as you know, and I'm hoping to see the Flyers season opener live, which is against Vancouver, October 11th at 10 p.m., his first NHL game. He said with Bedard, there was league-wide buzz and build-up. So far with Michkov, only in Philadelphia. Keep up the great work, Wesley, a Flyers fan in Vancouver. Great note, Wesley. My take on that, my opinion is that, first and foremost, most markets are concerned with players that were drafted this year. So he's kind of like off in the distance a little bit from people's frontal lobe because he wasn't drafted this year. He was drafted the year prior. And so he was drafted. Oh, here's where he fell, and he's going to Philadelphia, but, oh, there's a 3-year wait. So he kind of goes off people's radar. They kind of check out mentally on it. Oh, he signed? Okay, but there's not much of a storyline there yet because of the drafted players. Now, Bedard was drafted number 1 overall. So much hype around Bedard as well, and he was going right into the NHL. So there was a sustainable conversation there. I just don't think there was a sustainable conversation when it came to Michkov. Had they known that he'd be over here this year or would have been here last year, that would be different, and he would have been taken number 2 overall, and that would have been different as well. So that's kind of why I think maybe that is. If he comes in and gets off to a really good start, then I think you're going to start hearing a lot about Matvei Michkov come when the season begins. But I think he's just out of Philadelphia market frontal lobe. I think for the people that deep dive, yeah, they're aware, but there's not a lot of talking points in markets outside of Philadelphia just yet. He's a talking point here. I mean, Bill and I on Monday dedicated basically an entire episode to him and his arrival, what it could mean, and what he's maybe capable of doing. And I'll throw Ryan Ellis in there because, speaking of expectations, Chuck Fletcher expected him to be a major player. He said that's 5 major or veteran players whose position had to be filled with homegrown talent. The top 10 draft pick that most Cup contenders have on their roster will hopefully be on a plane from Moscow and here next week. And if you listen to anything Danny Briere has said from day one, I'd bet my next 5 paychecks that the Flyers' ultimately number 1 defenseman we're lacking right now comes in free agency next summer. Tear it down? Why? They've been in a rebuild for 3 years, people. And one more thing. I've been saying this all summer. Do not trade Travis Konechny. Know why? Because if you trade Travis Konechny, you need to replace Travis Konechny, and you're just going to have to replace him with, and he says, drum roll, another Travis Konechny, a 30-goal scorer, veteran, top 6 forward, who can surprisingly kill penalties, irritates his opposition with the best of them. Players like Konechny don't grow on trees, and when the rebuild comes to fruition, you'll need his exact model for hopefully 8.5 for 8 years. Sorry about the diatribe, and as always, love the pod. Go Phils. Dr. Electrica. Okay, let's take the first part first. His first thing was obviously about the ifs going into this season and the expectations being held in check. I agree with that. I made that case on Wednesday. So, look, they have holes. There's a lot of ifs there, and he listed them off. Cam York, Sanheim, Couturier, Ayerson, Jamie Drysdale. I mean, there's a lot of ifs. We're going to get into the ifs at some point. It's going to be a whole episode. Number 2, about the tear it down. Look, not all rebuilds have to be teardowns. Not all rebuilds can be teardowns. The Flyers, because of their situation, couldn't do that. When you had players like Sean Couturier who didn't play for 21 months, under contract long-term, you can't just say trade them. You have to realize that to tear it down, the pieces have to be sought after by other teams. And you can't just go pennies on a dollar. Or your teardown will take decades to rebuild. As far as some of the players that Chuck Fletcher signed and didn't work out, D'Angelo, Hayes, Provorov, Van Riemsdyk, Ryan Ellis, is absolutely right. Kevin Hayes had a really good first year here. Provorov was here obviously prior, but extended under Chuck Fletcher, as was Travis Konechny. And those roles had to be filled by players in the system. And they didn't bottom completely out, so they don't have the top 3 overall pick in an NHL draft. And I do agree that either the top number 1 defenseman or the 1C is going to be... The way the Flyers are going to obtain that is through free agency or trade. They're not in the position to do that now because of their cap situation, the dead money, and all of that. But after this season and going forward, you can plan for those things. And if a number 1D hits the market that fits the description, then absolutely, I think they'll be in play for that. Not all of the top players on a team have to be drafted by said team. I mean, just look at a team like the Vegas Golden Knights. I mean, who was drafted there? Now, that's different, obviously, because that was an expansion team. There was an expansion draft. But the key players, Pietrangelo, Eichel, on down, there's a lot of players there that were brought in via trade or free agency. And that's how they acquired that. And those, obviously, are number 1 defenseman, a number 1 center. So that can be done. As far as Konechny and the case for Konechny, I think when you look at certain situations, you go, do you trade Konechny? Well, he doesn't fit the timeline. Well, that depends on what the timeline is. If the timeline is 5 more years, then yeah, he doesn't fit. Do I believe it's 5 more years? I don't. And look, you can say get rid of guys to get draft picks, but there's no guarantee that the draft pick is just going to be a younger, cheaper version of what you have. That's what I think sometimes people miss out on. People love picks. Well, this guy's a higher pedigree draft pick than Konechny was. Therefore, he'll be able to deliver that. That's not always the case. There's maybe a 15 to 20% chance that is the case. So, great email. Great note from Dr. Electrica. I really appreciate it. Keep them coming, people. I love it. I love corresponding. And like I said right off the hop, I'm so excited for the season to come. We need to start kicking up the interaction between myself and you guys as well, because you guys are a big part of this podcast. Let's get to our feature conversation from Flyers Development Camp. I'm so happy to sit down with this young man. I'm glad we were sitting down because he's quite large. And it looks like he put in the work in the offseason. Here's Flyers goaltending prospect Carson Bjarnason. We're live at Flyers Prospect Camp and getting ready for the summer program with a lot of the draft picks, prospects, and more. And joining us on this episode, I didn't even recognize him when he came in, is Flyers goaltending prospect Carson Bjarnason. How you doing, man?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Have you not been in a gym?
Yeah.
You are enormous.
Yeah, I'm trying to get bigger. Eating a lot and trying to keep it clean.
How much, I mean, you've obviously put a lot of muscle on.
Yeah.
What is the difference size-wise in you today from last year?
Well, I got to do the math here. I think it's, probably 20, 25 pounds.
Yeah, but it's not 25 pounds of jelly donut.
No, we're trying not to be. Yeah, I like to say it's not. But, I don't know, just in the gym a lot, and especially this past couple months after our season. And I think I look bigger on the ice, I hope. And
you feel bigger?
Yeah, I think
that's
so.
the big thing, right?
And then just power. I think just like speed, agility on the ice, it's definitely translated, I think.
Let me ask you about that, because people go, well, he's a goalie. He doesn't need to be this big, hulking, physical guy. But all of your movements are all tied together kinetically with your body, core, lower half, shoulders, everything. Yeah. Do you just feel that difference in the control of your movements in particular?
Yeah, and then, I mean, obviously there's the on-ice perspective of it. Like, you got to work on things like over-rotation and, making sure your body's following what your legs are doing and hips. But I think for the most part, just speed and, being able to push and making one movement instead of two, I think it's translated and, helped me out, obviously, longevity-wise.
So much of the position is lateral movement, and do you feel like there's a huge difference in your explosiveness laterally, side to side?
Yeah, I mean, just anything, you would know, shuffling, you can tell when some guys kind of have it, and can make one stride between kind of jumping over there. So I think that, I'm just holding my edges, keeping my feet under
Get
me.
there set and square a little bit with more explosiveness.
Yeah.
And again, the big part of it is control, to get to your spot, not overshoot it.
Something that Urs does really well.
Yeah. Very, you're exactly right.
Very clean.
I know you spent a lot of time here last summer. I think they had to kick you out.
Yeah.
At one point. You love being here, though.
It's awesome. I mean, you don't get better than this.
You walk into the weight room.
It's an NHL rink. I mean, even it's a practice facility, and it's top notch. It's something I've never been in before. Every time coming here, it's a first time.
See, I love talking to you because every time we talk, you you have like an air about you. You're just so happy that you're doing what you're doing.
Little kid in a candy shop.
But you never forget that though, right?
Yeah, for sure. I think it's something nice to have. I mean, you go back home and like my hometown, people treat me normal, and they know who I am, but it's not like they're gonna go out of their way to be all giddy up and treat me all different. So it's nice. You come
humbling.
Go fishing, and you're just hanging out. I hang out with my brother a lot, and a couple of my buddies that go fishing, and then you come here and it's like cool. You get to see all the NHL gear. You get to all these logos laying around. It's unreal.
I never understood the guys that come up and they get real arrogant about it and stuff. Like, this was the dream. Get here, enjoy it. Like, have fun. Like,
how can you not?
Yeah, I mean, it's supposed to be fun. It's a great,
historic franchise like this too. Like, come on.
Yeah, you look good in that logo.
It doesn't. I'm trying. Yeah.
How was your season?
It was good. I think. You learn. No season is a failure. I mean, like,
you take something from it. No matter.
Yeah, obviously until you win the last game, you're not happy, right? And being out in the first round of playoffs, you're going to be frustrated. So you take a few weeks off, and in the grand scheme of things, like it definitely wasn't a failure. I learned a lot from it, and second season kind of as a starter, and you're still establishing your name. You want to represent the Flyers well. Obviously, it's the organization it is. So lots to learn, lots to take away from it. But obviously, you want more for next year, and grind for it.
Being here and being in camp and seeing NHL shots.
Yeah.
How they disguise releases and all that.
Yeah.
And you go back to junior, you take that knowledge of what these guys are like. When Owen Tippett shooting on you, or those TK and those guys.
Yeah.
You take that back there and try and apply it, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like, obviously you're going to have, at Brandon Camp, you're going to have some 14 or 15-year-olds coming in on you and shooting. It's not going to be the same. So
you're like, come on, pigeon.
It was me at one point, so I'm not gonna belittle them on it. But like,
it's not exactly the same.
Yeah, like it's a big transition. You almost have to downplay yourself. You want to keep your pace and you want to keep your intensity and agility in it, but at the same time, you're reacting to a completely different shot.
Yeah.
So it's nice coming here. You're really challenging yourself. Like, obviously, I'm with guys that are way better than me here, and it's so awesome to learn and watch what they do, and even off the ice, like, just what they do. It's like you can't do nothing but love it. Like, it's unreal here.
So much of the NHL game is about dealing with traffic. You've added the muscle too. That'll help you in traffic situations.
Yeah, it's something I definitely need to work on coming from last year. I got better with it as the season went on and just fighting through it and finding my sight lines. But, being bigger, and I think coming into the season, hopefully taking up a little more net, it's something I want to do is, be above them. You know how, there's some guys that stand straight up until the shot comes in. That's, what I want to get to, and be able to, react more from a stationary, like, up high position.
Yeah, it's something I could never identify with.
Yeah.
I was always a look around or look through their legs.
I remember last summer.
I'd have to make myself small, Carson.
I remember last summer I was looking through, like, in between their legs.
Yeah.
I was trying to get as low
Off
as I
the
could.
hip.
Yeah, so I think that'll be a big change in my game for me, something to work on.
Is there anybody that you watched this year at the NHL level? The position is constantly evolving. There's different elements, post-play, integrations, those kind of things. Anything you saw that you want to add this summer?
Yeah,
Double seal?
Yeah, the game is completely different from what it was even, 10 years ago, 5 years ago. So I think watching Urs was a big thing. I really like Joseph Wall's play. He's just technically so sound and always there, and he's got that stoicism to his game, kind of like, it definitely reminds me of like a Carey Price, like just the way he plays.
Rely on that when all else
absolutely.
fails.
And then like Swayman, obviously those kind of guys, like even Wolf when he got called up, like he's solid. So building that foundation, kind of taking a few months off here and then kind of restarting and letting your body like find a new groove. I think that's going to help me. And then obviously going into the season, you want to carry that and keep consistency is the biggest thing.
Well, enjoy this camp, man. I'm so happy to see you.
Yeah,
you're one of those guys
awesome.
that lights up the room when you walk in. And you know I love talking goaltending.
Yeah, absolutely.
Carson, thanks for doing this.
Yes,
Great to catch up with Carson Bjarnason. He'll be back with the Brandon Wheat Kings this year. In 46 games last season, he actually had an assist. Pretty nice, decent numbers. Not great. Didn't have a great team in front of him, but 907 save percentage. Not bad. 301 goals against average as we continue to watch the development of the second-round pick from the Flyers in the 2023 NHL entry draft, 51st overall, Carson Bjarnason. Really hope everybody enjoyed that conversation, getting to know the young man a little bit more. I love his enthusiasm, his attitude, and just kind of his presence. So thanks to him. Thanks to you. Everybody have a great weekend. Bill Meltzer joins us coming up on Monday for another Mondays with Meltzer. So have a great, safe weekend, everybody. We'll talk to you Monday on a brand new Flyers Daily.